I'm sitting here trying to draw some parallels to the U.S. and the situation here, and I think a lot of people sort of speculated back in 2016 after Brexit happened. I think a lot of people, correct me if I'm wrong, in the UK were surprised by the results of the Brexit vote. Did not expect that Remain would lose. Certainly. 4, 5, 6 months later here in the U.S., we found ourselves a little bit with our pants down because we did not. Certainly, Hillary Clinton did not expect that Donald Trump would win. And it's sort of that same sentiment, the same population demographic of people who voted for Brexit, who had been, to use maybe their words, Nigel Farage's words, fed up with the status quo and the way that relationship had been going. That same demographic here in the U.S. was having the same frustrations. They were upset about immigration. They were upset about some of these more identity politics type issues. And they sort of rose up and put Trump into office. And then I think as you're talking about Theresa May and David Cameron, I think about something that I've said to my fellow Democrats a few times. Is there a time ever, now that you've got Boris Johnson in office, I ask Americans now that Donald Trump is in office, do you ever look back and say, man, maybe we should not have been so pissed off at David Cameron and Theresa May? Do you think that it's possible that conservatives, Tories in the UK felt like, okay, well, Theresa May was actually a Remainer and the Labour Party hated her. The next place we can go is to a level 11. You know, we were at a 10 when Theresa May was there, and Boris Johnson is an 11. Do you think that had played any role in bringing him to power and putting him in a position to win the leadership of the Tory party?
I mean, I think with Johnson, he's a sort of interesting figure because he was a journalist who then became a politician, but the sort of overlap I think between him and Trump is that they were both, to some extent, facilitated by the entertainment industry in the same way that Trump was, but he was always seen with some suspicion by the right of the Conservative Party, and so by coming out in favour of Brexit, he kind of quietened his doubters in the Conservative Party, because he was seen as being in favour of Brexit. I mean, if you
keep on saying things that sound just like Trump. He was a Democrat for years before he became a Republican. So it's all
there's total overlap for sure between the two of them, and there's definitely an element of that. And I think he sort of emerged as the only viable candidate because the rest of the kind of pro-Brexit MPs didn't really have the same name recognition as him, and the ones that did had name recognition for being lunatics. And so it was a happy thing where he was like he was the most famous politician in the country, and he was in favour of Brexit, and so they essentially he nearly became prime minister when Theresa May became prime minister, but there was a sort of shenanigans between him and another pro-Brexit MP called Michael Gove, where they ended up sort of essentially reservoir dogsing each other out of the contest, and Theresa May was the only one left standing.
Do you think that part of the Labour Party's problem had something to do with the leader that they had chosen for themselves through all of this?
Well, he was Jeremy Corbyn was certainly a sort of a divisive figure. It became a divisive figure in Britain, and some of that is because essentially, if you're anything to the left of Margaret Thatcher, the tabloid press will essentially paint you like you're Che Guevara. I was so fascinated watching the coverage of Kamala Harris today on Fox News and seeing, an ex-prosecutor described as a kind of somebody who's basically going to legalize mass orgies in Target. And in fact, not even legalize them, make them mandatory.
Those are already legal in certain states in the South. So actually required for entry, I believe, in South Carolina. The reason I asked about Jeremy Corbyn is because I think that there was certainly a push here in the U.S. From the left of the Democrat Party to nominate somebody like a Bernie Sanders. And there was also a push from moderates in the Democrat Party to say, if we want to beat Donald Trump, or if Democrats want to beat Donald Trump, then we need to look for someone who can appeal to a middle ground. Do you think Keir Starmer, who took over for Jeremy Corbyn, who took that spot, do you think he falls in the more moderate area of the party, or do you think that he is still a pretty progressive liberal leader for Labour?
Well, I think Starmer falls from the more moderate end of the party. I mean, again, you're sort of looking at it. The problem that Starmer is going to have is keeping the left of the party happy. And I think what's interesting is that Biden was obviously, of all of the candidates, arguably the least popular with the left of the Democrats. And I think one of the smartest moves that they've made is to adopt a policy platform that I think is designed to, in many ways, keep the left of the party happy. And I think it's going to be such a fascinating balancing act. It's going to be a fascinating balancing act for Keir Starmer, but because of the fact that we had an election in December, he's got at least another 3.5, 4 years to work out how to make that balance work. Whereas the fascinating thing for Biden is going to be balancing a progressive policy platform that excites and animates voters from the left of the party, who I think there's probably a very real danger of people staying home and sitting the election out again. And also fending off that accusation from the right of Trump that he's essentially going to be, that Biden is basically going to be Weekend at Bernie's by, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Karl Marx.
Hey, I'm Clay Aiken. To hear the full episode, subscribe to This Politicon podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to pods. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show. Go to Politicon.com, follow @Politicon on social media, and listen to a new pod episode of How the Heck every Thursday.